I'd like to call the work session of April 1st, 2025 to order, please. Roll call, please.
Mayor Romanek?
Here.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Here.
Commissioner Sui?
Here.
Vice Mayor Watson?
Present.
Commissioner Casabun? Here.
May we please rise to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Oakland Public Meetings Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, Mayor.
Presentation seeing none. Public comment on agenda items only. If anybody from the public would like to comment on the multitude of agenda items that we have on the work session, please come to the podium, say your name. Seeing nobody, I will close public comment on agenda items only. Discussion of commissioners. Commissioner Hewitt, go ahead.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Sui.
Yeah, I have a couple items to discuss on tonight's agenda. So the first one was resolution item 6, the Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator. So when I read that, you know, we can have an unlimited number of Deputy Emergency Management Coordinators, but it is a paid position in the amount of roughly $2,600 a year. So since we already have one, I guess I'm just asking you to justify the other one before I support it. If there's justification, I mean, I don't know how often we need to, we ever used to.
99% of the time, Sergeant Stadnick is there. He is the OEM. He's the boss.
Right.
Looking for the word. This is a replacement for basically second in charge, which was Chief Lippincott. Larry is a tenured volunteer. He was the deputy chief on the volunteer side. And we have two others which they do show up, but there are times, especially when we need to close down a road and stuff, we do need, and I have all the confidence in the world that Larry will be responding without a phone call from either myself or the chief
Right.
to ask for him.
Well, what I'm saying is we already have one deputy. This will make two. Not
Correct.
counting Lippincott. We'll have the coordinator and two deputies.
Yes.
And you're telling me we need both of them.
Yep. Yeah, we do. I'm looking at confidence in having somebody at each big fire.
Okay.
I don't think it would be right to name the other deputy.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's public record, but you don't have to name them.
Yeah, but I do back this, and I am totally confident in his qualifications and that he will be there to help coordinate until we get county fire, which fire police, they are a bunch of, and I give them credit, all the credit in the world. When we call them, it takes them a while to get there because they're not from this area. They're from outside boundaries. They're all really retired firefighters and stuff, and but that's what the OEM coordinators do.
Okay, another thing I wanted to discuss is the last meeting we talked about negotiations with the DRBA. I responded to Mr. Russell's email about when negotiations were going to start, so I don't know, are we starting them anytime soon? I believe you said we should start them as soon as possible, which was after we passed that
We're waiting for the
resolution.
No, we're waiting for the DRBA to get back to us with a response if they accepted our notice of non-renewal.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to me if they accept it or they don't accept it, we still have to negotiate either way. So kind of like wondering why we're waiting.
Rock, can you reach out on?
I did, and Susan Basco said she would get back to me as soon as she had some information. I was just looking up their meetings. It looks like their next board meeting is April the 15th.
Okay, and the last thing I want to discuss is the resolution appointing a municipal clerk as required, so the resolution says, by NJAC 532-5.3. But when I read 532-5.3, it doesn't say it's required.
Yeah, but you have to look at the statute.
And if, I'm not done yet. Please let me finish, okay? So it says we may. So seeing how this kind of touches on employment, I called our employment attorney. And if we plan on hiring someone for a clerk's position, that this may muck up the works, and he advised me against doing it. So it seems a little odd that we would do it now, when, and I'm not going to get into particulars, but we do have somebody we're looking at hiring. I don't think it'd hurt to wait one more meeting to do this if we're going to do it. So I'm going to make a motion to table this pending, well, for the next meeting.
From my understanding, we needed to appoint an acting municipal clerk for the time being, that we didn't have a registered clerk.
Well, we don't have to, that's what I'm telling you.
Right.
We haven't
Well,
yet,
you're-
and nothing's happened.
Yeah. You're looking at you're looking at the reg that has the word may, but you have to look at the statute. The statute says that every town has to have a registered municipal clerk. So the point is that if you don't appoint a acting clerk in the absence of the registered municipal clerk, remember, we don't have a deputy clerk that's an RMC. Now, some towns do. We don't. So we have no RMC. If we don't appoint her as the acting clerk, then she's not a clerk. And so what she does could be questioned because she is an officer and has certain official functions, and we have to have a registered municipal clerk.
What the labor attorney said is this may muck up the works for hiring somebody. He said,
Well-
we did, this is what he told me today when I called.
He hasn't talked to me.
Okay, well, I called him because it's a labor issue.
Yeah.
So that's what he told me. Obviously, we haven't had one for the last month and a half, so I don't think another 2 weeks is gonna make any difference. So all I'm asking you to do is making a motion to table it for 2 weeks. And then if we don't have one, we proceed.
And I'm hoping, and this is nothing against anybody, I see what Joanna's doing. I'm hoping that within 2 weeks, we're going to have a clerk. So with what I've been told, with where I reached out and stuff also, tabling it for 2 weeks is not going to hurt anything, as far as I'm concerned. This is nothing against you, Joanna. I see what you do. So I would second that motion because of advice and hoping where we stand right now.
So we got a motion and a second.
So I'll second that motion, and
Well, my question would be, what about the business that we've already conducted? You know,
We're
the
fine
reason why
there.
we're trying to put this in effect is for all the business that has been conducted without a registered clerk. And we want to make sure that.
So it was all done without a registered clerk? It was already done?
we
She
can
wasn't
go,
registered then.
I've checked into it, I've checked into it. We can go up to a year.
No, well, no, that's not correct. The,
Excuse me, Mayor, a point of order, we have a motion and a second which requires a vote before any further discussion for tabling a resolution.
Correct. We have a motion and a second on tabling resolution item number 10 in the regular session. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Watson?
No.
Commissioner Casabun?
No.
Commissioner Sui?
Yes.
Mayor Romanek?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Casabun.
Nothing at this time.
Vice Mayor Watson.
Tentative closing for the 202 South Wade Boulevard is looking April 15th. Closing documents are complete. The bulk sale was submitted. We're just waiting 10-day grace period to get us to the closing. We are pending a response from the DRBA regarding the rescindment of notice of non-renewal. Let's see if I had anything else that we could put in work session instead of regular session. I think that's all I have for this time.
Can I,
Regarding the DRB, Brock, they don't have any more meetings? I mean, we're having our second meeting of the month that same day on the 15th.
I just did a quick look, and
Okay.
it looks like their next meeting is the 15th. Maybe they have another one, but that's the one that I saw.
And if I may,
Good.
uh,
Good on you.
I made it pretty clear, I can be available for anything that needs to be for the DRBA.
Yes, we've,
This is just my thought process here. The clock is ticking. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we've got the month of May, and we're done.
well,
If
that's,
we don't sit down and make a decision with the DRBA. Am I correct, Brock?
no.
What we were told by the FAA is that if there's not a new sponsor that's suitable and approved by the FAA by May 1st, that they would suspend their funding for FAA grants. So when I communicated to Susan Basco, I said, we need to know what your response is because of that, and I did mention that. She said she would get back to me as soon as she knew something, so that's where it stands.
So then if we put a couple of us together, along with you and our business administrator, I would really hope that the DRBA is willing to take exception to their schedule or whatever and sit down and accept our rescission that we did in order to keep moving on here, because we're up against it. We're up against it big. Now we're talking about April 15th. What happens if they can't get enough people together for a meeting? We'll have the people together, but we go past April 15th, we're in trouble. Because the FAA pulls their authorization for grants, for funding, for things that are ongoing and everything else out there. I don't like it. We're cutting time way short. I'd really like somebody to reach out to the DRBA and see if we can get something.
Maybe if the
Quicker.
FAA knew that we were trying to get with the DRBA again, they would extend that May 1st deadline for the funding.
Maybe that's something our FAA attorney can help us with. I'm just looking at, we are up against the wall here.
Well, you know,
Well, if you're going to tell the FAA you're going to get back with them, then why would the DRBA negotiate?
Well,
Why
no,
wouldn't
it's telling the
FAA
FAA we're trying to work with the DRBA to try to give us, the DRBA, some time so we don't lose the funding that's already been granted.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I just don't, I don't like this wall we're on. This is not like something that we can hand off and say, you know, we'll deal with it next month, we'll deal with it, whatever. We'll hand it off to whoever. We're there. We've been put on notice, we're there.
If I could go back to 202 South Wade Boulevard for a minute. So I called the title company today, and they're still awaiting paperwork from the other party's attorney to prepare the deed. They don't know when they're going to get it. They told me it'd probably be closer to the end of the month if we were lucky. So we may end up paying another month rent. And why this aggravates me so much, and it should aggravate every taxpayer in Millville. If you think about it, we're paying $8,500 a month rent. Now, this is the fourth month, but let's just call January, okay, we needed time. So let's say 3 months at $8,500 plus a quarter's taxes, which is roughly $3,000. Takes us to roughly what, $28,000, $28,500? So if you take the average tax bill for somebody in Millville, and I'm going to estimate it high, that's going to be, say, $6,000. About a third of that, or $2,000, comes to the city. So that $28,000 means 14 homeowners that probably worked their butts off to get their home and to keep their home are going to pay taxes this year for absolutely nothing other than when you get paperwork done on time. And that sickens me. And anyway, that's all I got to say about that.
Well, the sale of the 15th Street, the replacement of the 15th Street warehouse should have had a better plan. You know, we were stuck with one building, and it was publicly put on 2 commissioners up here that looked at several different facilities, different places to try to find the Parks Department and our other departments some storage. Ideas were presented, including using city-owned property, so it didn't affect the revenue or the money received from property that would come from a business. Neither of those options, none of the options that me and the other commissioner went out, Commissioner Hewitt and at the time Commissioner Ranella, you didn't agree with any of them, and you also didn't agree with the plan to use city-owned property to build new buildings. Unfortunately, we were stuck with two places, and we chose the best one, and unfortunately it cost a little bit more on the front end, but with the time restraints and the poor planning, and basically it was the only choice that I feel that we had.
All right, well, 2 things with that. First of all, you had over a year. Second of all, I'm not complaining about even the building you bought at this point. What I'm saying is, I believe we went to closing in what, December, January? So we went to closing on 15th Street at the beginning of January, right? So it shouldn't take us 4 months to close on another building, is what I'm getting at. That shouldn't happen. Now, I know we didn't order environmentals at the right time. We waited to order environmentals. We should have done that right away. We didn't do that either. My point is, this is an unnecessary cost to the taxpayer, and I just want to make sure that we don't make a mistake like this again. That's all.
Commissioner Hewitt, is the fire hose equipment, or is that replacing old hose? What's the deal with the $19,505?
That will be now putting fire hose on the old engine that we didn't replace, that needed to be replaced, and we are refurbing it. because due to lack of our fire hose, we had taken everything off of that to send it away whenever we get the word, to make sure we have sufficient quantity on the trucks now that we're serving the city with. So yes, it is going to be buying hoses for engine 36 when it goes back in service after refurbishing.
Gotcha, thank you. Other than that, there's nothing at this time. Looking forward to all the great events we have upcoming in the month of April here in the city. I definitely would touch on a few that I'm sure Commissioner Sui will talk about later
will.
on. Other than that, I have nothing further. Public comment portion. We have now reached the public comment portion of our meeting. Anyone who would like to address the commission, please go to the podium, state your name, and address your concerns. Please limit your concerns to approximately 5 minutes. Caretaker.
Patricia Kears, 409 Peach Drive. I have a question. Is Ms. Webster working out of title currently?
You want me to answer that?
Sure.
Actually not, because
Yeah, I know how to
we
answer,
created the
but-
title so that she could work in that job.
So what she's doing now is exactly what a city clerk would do?
She would be equivalent to basically, I forget the name of the title we put her in, but people can work up into another title for a period of time.
That's correct. I think it's 30 days.
No, it's actually
No,
longer.
it's a year.
It's a
It's
year?
a year, am I correct? Joe, am I
believe you're
correct?
correct. I don't-
Business Minister, I have checked on it, but am not the right person to actually,
Joanna, as a taxpayer, I would like to offer my apologies that you are not being treated fairly. Thank you.
Seeing no one further, I will close public comment portion of the work session meeting on April 1st, 2025. Any closing comments of commissioners during the work session? Motion, any resolutions? Seeing none, motion for adjournment, please.
make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.